Hey guys, it's Penguin here, and welcome back to another goal making video. In this video, this is going to be an all beginner's guide video to flipping with the auction house. So if you guys are looking for more information about how to go about flipping, how to decide when it's the right time, then definitely stay tuned to this video. Now, this video is going to be broken down into 3 different parts, and each of them will kind of correspond to a different type of item. So if you guys are only looking for a certain type of flipping, be sure to check the timeline below to check that out. Also, this is just a quick disclaimer for this video. A lot of people that may be watching this has a lot more experience in the gold making field, and because of that, you may have better ways or more complicated ways to basically get the same standard practice done. The main goal of this video for me is to get the beginners who don't know a lot about TSM and don't know a lot about just gold making in general, get comfortable with flipping and all of that. So, of course, you are always allowed to share your opinions. You're always allowed to say like, oh, I do it this way. That's always helpful for everybody, even the beginners. They can actually see how other people do this flipping, but this video is made for those beginners. So, be kind. Do not say, oh, this is awful because you should do it this way. Everybody has different routines to do this, and yes, there may be a more better complicated way. However, this video is strictly for beginners, so simple is the key in this. But without further ado, I am not going to keep you guys waiting, and I hope you enjoy. So the first item that we're going to be talking about is the long-term flipping. So basically, I call these quality items, and kind of the reason for that is normally you're not buying a ton, and they normally sell after a long time. So a very good example of this is any sort of holiday item that is only around for 1 year. So let's say a perfect example is the Swift Longstrider, which came during the Easter event. So I am actually currently selling one on the auction house. Let me find it. Here it is. But as you can see, currently I am selling these Swift Spring Striders, and I'm trying to sell them for 100,000 gold. Now, if I hover over, as you can see, I purchased quite a bit of these items. I purchased 4 of these for about 18,000 gold 160 days ago. Now, 160 days ago is about 5 months ago. So, about 5 months ago during this event, everybody was getting eggs, everybody was purchasing these items, throwing them up on the auction house to make some quick sales. So, since I had the knowledge that this was a holiday item, meaning that every time this event was not going on, it's unobtainable, and also knowing that 20,000 gold is very, very cheap, I took the advantage of purchasing them. Now, I only bought 4, and as you can see, I still actually have 3. That's because I personally farmed those myself, but I kept a stockpile of about 7 just to, be in my guild bank and to save for later. So then, about a month ago or so, I figured out, okay, you know what, I think this is the right time. And as you can see, the region market value right now is about 46,000 gold. And because I'm on a medium pop server, I take advantage of that, so I can sell my stuff a lot higher, and I've sold this for about 70,000 gold. If you guys want the full-on details, we can make our way to the ledger, go to revenue, go to resales, and as you can see, if we type in Swift, we're just going to do all time. As you can see, I've bought 4 for about an average of the 18,000, and I've sold 4 for an average of 70,000. If you guys want to see the logistics of this, as you can see, these are the 4 that I purchased during that event 164 days ago, and then about 120 days after. So, about 4 months exactly after, I decided to post these back up on the auction house, and as you can see, they have been selling anywhere between the 60 and 70s range. Now, this is going to be the standard practice for most of these holiday items. So there is the Grumpus mount that is from the Christmas event. There is the Hollow's End event, which doesn't really have a mount, but there's that toy, it's the coin, which people use. Any type of holiday item, this is super useful. So of course, this is my personal data. Some people will have more, Honestly, I probably should have purchased more because as you can see, sales have been doing pretty well. Clearly there's a gap here, but that's due to my own fault. But, selling these, maybe once a week, one every 2 weeks, it's definitely paying off. Currently, so far, I've made a total profit, yes, profit, of 200,000 gold, and we can just say that in a span of about 5 months because that's when the original purchase was. So, of course, if I purchased a ton more of these, this profit number could have doubled, or the potential profit could have doubled, anything like that, but this is just a very good example of these long-term flippings. Now, these other examples that you can talk about is, for example, the BFA mounts. So, during BFA, there were a variety of farms in which you can basically had a very low chance of getting this mount. There's a few of them. A very good example of this would be, the scavenger, the dune scavengers. You have both of these rains. You also have the blood feaster. There we go, right there. And just these BFA mounts back in the day, these used to be very cheap. I remember on my realm, I could buy the Reigns of the Tamed Blood Feaster for about, maybe 50k, and currently now they're going for over, 100,000. And simply the reason for this is because they used to be on trend, and it used to be current content, and then, BFA disappeared, nobody's in BFA anymore, we're on Korthia and Shadowlands, so the demand is still there, but the supply isn't. So slowly, as the supply dries up, the price is getting more expensive. Another example of trends is Spirits of Harmony. Anybody who was familiar with the Spirits of Harmony back in BFA as well, there was a big bot kind of like trend of everybody would farm Spirits of Harmony and crystals, the Sky Shards. And because of that, lots of Spirits of Harmony were located on servers. People were buying them for 50 gold each, or even less, and now, they're 200 gold each. So just these sort of trends you want to look out for. Now, because I do want to give you guys some tips, the next kind of trendy item that I believe you guys should be looking at is the Korthian cosmetics. So what you can do is go over to Armor, go to Cosmetic, and search. And as you can see, there is a variety of these new kind of cosmetic gear from Korthia. So some of this stuff is old, etc., but the ones we're going to be focusing on is basically all of the epics. And these are dropped, they're BOE, randomly dropped inside of the mall, Korthia, raids, etc. And right now, as you can see, a lot of these are super cheap. This one right here has a 0.11 sell rate. It is selling a lot, but because there are so many on the auction house, yes, there's only 4 right now, but there used to be a lot, and of course, everybody can have some more in their inventory. And because it's just so easy to get right now with everybody running around in Korthia, they are super cheap. However, when Shadowlands ends or Korthia becomes irrelevant and not a lot of people are sitting there, people are still going to want these transmog gear sets. However, the supply is slowly going to be limited. So as time goes on, maybe in a year, 2 years, then these pieces could be, upwards in this range, even though it was 500, a year ago. So personally, my plan is to probably buy a lot of these things out, especially the ones that are less than, like 5k gold. Like both of these, if I wanted to buy all this out, that's 7,000. And then this is another 2,000. So like a 10,000 investment, shove it in my guild bank, forget about it, next expansion, sell them each for, 10,000 each, 50,000 each, who knows what these are going to go for. A perfect example of this is the Island Expedition gear. People were buying it for in the, 1 to 5,000 range. I bought a few pieces for the 500 gold range. And, in pre-patch in Shadowlands, I have been able to sell those same exact pieces for 50,000 each. So the things about long-term flipping is that you want quality items. So take advantage of holidays, take advantage of trends, take advantage of accessibility, and that is kind of how you go about this flipping. Pros of this is that it takes really minimum effort. Like I said before, you buy these up, shove them in a guild bank, that takes 5 minutes. Come back a year later, post them on the auction house, you make some gold. Or 6 months later, whatever that time period is. So very minimum effort. The best thing is also that it's not generally risky. I say that, of course, every type of flipping is a risk, but, you know, the holiday is always going to end. That automatic supply is always going to end. The price will probably most likely go up. So it's not as risky as other options. The cons of this is that there are very big upfront costs. Yes, you know, if you want to buy a lot of this stuff out, let's say you only have 20,000 gold. If you spend 10k of it on this items, you're basically out of 10k. Like, you're not going to be able to recover that 10k by selling these off super fast. You will have to wait at least a few months. And then cons, it's in the name, it takes a long time to sell, especially if it's kind of prepping for next expansion. Holidays, you know, might take 3 to 4 months, but, you know, big expansions, it could take a year or so. But that is kind of the first idea of long-term flipping. Just pay attention to that in-game calendar, figure out whenever holidays are happening, special events are happening, be mindful of what you can buy. And now we're going to be moving on to the next topic. So the next topic we're going to be talking about is probably the one people are kind of scared of the most, and that is material flipping. So material flipping, I consider it very fast flipping. The reason for that is normally you get a fast return and you're doing this as a market flip, and it's also probably the most complicated. The reason for that is materials, especially current content materials, they fluctuate a lot. With like each day, within each hour, there is a lot of change, and because of that, you definitely have to know your market well. So once again, it also is complicated, but it's also you need to know your market. So if you are somebody brand new to gold making, I would stay away from this at least a little bit. You know, you can always experiment with small amounts of gold, but if you're trying to get serious with this, make sure you get comfortable with your realm before you go into this. But first, I'm going to show you a few websites of what I do in order to predict flips, etc. And then also I can show you kind of how to figure that out in-game as well. So the first website I want to highlight is Oribos Exchange. So this is a great website. It's literally just the auction house, but posted onto a browser. You can look this up on your phone, the internet, whatever you need. And it's really nice because there are summaries. So up here, you will just want to pick your server and your region, and then you can just search for whatever you want. For this example, I'm going to use Shadowlands herbs, so we're going to look up Rising Glory. If I can spell it right. There we go. So if I click on this right now, it will show me basically what I would see in the auction house. There's about 16,000, and right now the cheapest is about 40 gold. Then, of course, it kind of gives you that TSM data type of stuff. It shows you the current price, the median price, and also the average price. You can also compare it to the US price if you'd like to as well. That's just like your region averages. Now, this is super nice because, once again, you can kind of see already, just taking a look at this, you can see right now Rising Glory is inflated because it is above the mean as well as the median price. So this would probably be a very awful time for me to buy, just taking a quick look at this because it is, you know, very expensive compared to the averages. But the reason why I love this website so much is because of this 14-day history. So, like it says in the name, this is the past 14 days of what has happened with the price, as well as the quantity down below, but we're going to be focusing on this blue patch. So, anything Shadowlands related, normally there's a very popular trend, which is it is always the most expensive on reset day. So I'm talking in terms of NA, so I'm going to be referring to reset day as Tuesdays, but if you are a EU player, then you know that fluctuate in price will probably be on Wednesday because that is your guys' reset day. So, you know, I'm going to be referring it to as Tuesdays, but don't be confused if you are EU, it's supposed to be Wednesdays for you. But as you can see, if we just want to take a look at this, you know, this is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, as the weekend goes on, as the week goes on, prices get lower. lower, we hit Sunday, we have Monday, we have Tuesday, midnight, and as you can see right here, we have our first spike. So somebody took the liberty at about basically, Tuesday at midnight, they bought up all of this stock. I could buy it at, 20 to 22 gold, and they reset it to about 30 gold. So that is the first spike that we see. You can also notice that because there's a large quantity loss at that point as well. So generally people do this because they're either stocking themselves up or they're legit just flipping the item. If I'm a crafter, I log on Tuesday, ready to craft up some potions for that night. Then I realize, herbs are 10 gold more than they should be. And I'm like, dang, I either have to buy the expensive herbs or I don't craft my potions. And because of that, if I'm still making profit, I will buy the more expensive herbs, giving that flipper their gold. But we can just analyze this trend even more by if we keep going, Tuesday, Wednesday, it holds pretty steady. And then Thursday, it looks like somebody reset it again. Now, of course, this is probably very unique to my server. As you can see, the quantity drops a ton. Somebody probably bought out a lot of this market, and because of that, there was once again another reset. So this is not really a trend I see in my server. Somebody just reset it on Thursday. Sometimes that happens, but if we keep going, as the week goes on, kind of like over here, it drops off, it keeps going, and then this is Tuesday, and then about Tuesday night at about 4 p.m., as you can see, it jumps to 65 gold. So yet again, Tuesday, 7 p.m., so like prime time, somebody resets Rising Glory once again. Now, this is really smart of them to do because, once again, if somebody needs potions, they run out of it, they are forced to buy the expensive herb or not sell potions at all. So this is when you're going to get those most sales, and this is kind of the trend of these items. But the reason why I tell you this is because you want to be able to analyze this chart to figure out when you want to buy materials to flip. So keeping in mind the mean price is about 30 gold, or the median price is about 30 gold, if we look kind of on trend for the past 2 weeks, is that the weekends, Saturdays through Sundays, there is kind of that lowest drop, and sometimes a little bit into Mondays as well. So, the weekend, I will definitely want to keep looking out for herbs. For example, if I bought them, this is Sunday around noon, I could buy up a ton for about 26 gold, hold them until Tuesday, and then, of course, this wasn't a huge reset, but I could sell it off for 30 gold. In this case, I probably would not make a ton of profit because of auction house cut, but at that point, I could hold it even longer for either next week's reset, which was, at 65, or I could just have held it for that Thursday, and, I could basically double my gold. Bought it at 26, gonna be selling it at 40. Once again, this weekend, it was about 30 gold, so it was about average, which is still fine. And once again, somebody reset it, and now I could be selling it for anywhere between 65 to even 40 gold currently. So hopefully this makes a little bit more sense of how to go about this material flipping. It's very hard to show you exactly what to do because all realms are completely different, which is why you want to utilize this day history. If we want to take a quick look at, let's say, a lithium ore, this is something that has been reset a lot on my server. It also kind of follows that same trend. Currently, it's about 65 gold and median price is about 45. And if we just keep looking, as you can see, the weekends, it is very, very cheap, in the 36 range. Monday comes along, Tuesday comes along, and boom, about literally right after reset, Tuesday morning, it's reset to 150 gold. Or 120 gold. And as you can see, that quantity drops a ton because somebody mass bought a ton of this lithium, reset it, they either use some of it or they're posting it all at that 140 and kind of keeping a hold on that price. So we can keep going, it fluctuates throughout the day. Saturday hits, it looks like there was another really big reset Sunday, Monday, and slowly it's starting to fall because at some point, some prices are just too expensive. When the median is about 45 gold, it's very hard to keep, 2 200, 150 gold steady, because that's just very unrealistic. But as you can see, ever since Sunday, it's currently Wednesday night, and the price still hasn't fully recovered either. It's still in the high 60s, which is above that median. So once again, if I just kept an eye on Aletheum, 2 weekends ago, I could see this was in the 37 mark, which is actually very, very cheap compared to the median. I should have bought a ton up, use it for my legendaries, and then of course, whenever reset hit, I would be able to sell them off as well. So, the short explanation is, the very simplified short explanation is buy cheap and sell high, but that's not always the easiest thing to do. But in terms of looking, in game, I can always say, if you guys do not utilize the favorites menu, I highly recommend it. Every single time I open the auction house, I am kind of flashed with this screen. And because of that, I always, basically keep these numbers in the back of my head. So, for something that I use a ton, Quarthite crystals, I always can basically see the price instantly whenever I open the auction house. So whenever I see this, dip to the 200 even mark or below that, I automatically buy it up, because if you look at the market value, it's at 268, and I know this is going to be a lot more expensive. It's right now at 244. So, just subconsciously, I refresh this or I open the auction house. I see that, I click it, I buy it, and then I save it for later. I can either use it or I can sell it back later for a little tiny flip. So utilizing this favorites menu to kind of track herbs and all of that, it's super nice. And then of course, if you do not want to use a third-party website, then you can just utilize tooltips. They kind of do the same thing. Taking a look at Nightshade, as you can see, it's clearly inflated. Market value is about 10 gold. So next time I see this around that 10 gold mark, I might buy it up a little bit, try to hold on to it, and see how it does next reset. But that's just a little bit of a beginner intro into kind of how to do with materials. The pros of this section is that it's a very fast return. It can be cheap or expensive depending on how many items you buy. And the margins can be huge depending on how much it gets reset. The cons of this, it can be very risky. You do need knowledge of your realm's market, and it can also be very volatile in terms of prices and how it's going to work out every single week. But this is kind of how the materials work, and we're going to be moving on to our last section. So the last section is basically just any simple buy and sell flip. What I mean by this is old world transmog, old world materials, pets, any type of that category that's not very fast moving and also not a ton of competition. I kind of put it in this simple buy and sell quote unquote category. So I'm already going to say the pros and cons to this. The pros of it is that once again, it kind of requires minimum effort, especially if it's transmog. You buy it once, post it on the auction house a ton of times, and then, hopefully it sells. The good thing about this is that there's plenty of useful websites that you can use to find super good deals, and I'll show you that in just a second. And then the cons is that sometimes you do have to be lucky. You got to find that sweet deal. You got to find those cheap items, and sometimes that doesn't always happen. And of course, another con is that this is not a super fast turnover. Sometimes it can be a week, 2 weeks, or you might be looking at 2 months. But the first thing I'm going to be kind of looking at is just overall transmog old world items, and I'm going to utilize a website to do this as well. So what this website is, it is the Undermine Journal, and what this is kind of like a virtual auction house as well. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to pick up your realm. If you are EU, make sure you have the correct region, and I'm just going to pick my server. Now the best thing about this is, of course, you can kind of do that same thing. You can look up Rising Glory. As you can see, there is the current price, there's also the 2 median price, and then you also have the daily, past few weeks report as well. So this is kind of a bigger version of the Ouroboros exchange, which you can definitely use if you're looking at more complicated items. And then there's a lot more information here. I go about this in a previous video, which I will link in the description below if you want a lot more info about the Undermine Journal. But there's even like region history. You can compare other realms if you're trying to do that. But this is just kind of another way to look at things on the auction house. But in terms of this kind of simple method, what we're focusing on is the deals section right here. So a part of the deals, you click on it and all of a sudden it will give you a ton of items posted currently on the auction house that seems to be a good deal. I mean, as you can see, if we're just looking through this, this is a bunch of random items, but for something, let's say the leggings of Beast Mastery, as you can see right now, there's 2 of them on the auction house for about 500 gold, and you know, it is saying that the US median price is about 2,500 gold. And right now, even the median price for my server is about 3,000 gold. So this is actually looking pretty good. Of course, you do have to be careful of the, you know, different versions of them. But as you can see, these other item level, there's none that exist. The last time it was there was about 20 days ago. And then, of course, the median is still in that, like, you know, 10 to 20,000 range as well. So honestly, purchasing this, trying to sell these for 10k each, definitely seems like a good method right now. Of course, what you can do is to learn more about the item, you can click on that, go to Wowhead, and then you can kind of look to see where it is sold or gotten. So currently this item just basically has a very, very low drop chance, so it's just a very, you know, high value transmog. So honestly, I would probably go and buy this out. Currently, I would probably post them for, or post one of them for about 15,000 gold, see how those sales go, and then of course adjust if necessary. As you can see, Wildhammer is down here with the 500 gold, and you know, people have a few of these posted. This is the 26,000s. There's a few posted for the 15s and the 10s. So you just want to kind of take a look at these items, and this is kind of how you utilize this deals page. If we want to go back, you can do the same exact thing for all of these pieces. Something that catches your attention, you can click on it, you know, utilize, okay, they're basically been like 1 off and on for this whole time. There's none here, so there's only 1 on the auction house. Average price is about 30,000, and the US median price is actually very, very huge. So, okay, I want to check out the Wowhead information about this, and yet again, it's just a super low drop chance, which is kind of interesting to see. So honestly, this could be another thing to look at. It's just kind of a world drop, and it looks pretty cool. As you can see right now, there's actually basically only 1 on the region server, so this might be a little bit of an interesting item. You might want to look a little bit more into it, but it's pretty interesting to see. So this is kind of how you utilize that deals page. Once again, they have weapons and stuff. There's also materials here and dropped consumables. So every once in a while, you'll find something that has a super good deal on here that you might want to purchase. Also, same thing with like trade goods. Every once in a while, I find some super cheap items here, buy it up, can flip it very easily. And then of course, kind of going into that pet mode, which I'm just about to talk about, you also have your companion stuff. So in terms of this, you know, I talked about these mounts before. We have a BFA mount right here, as well as right here, and right here. Basically, they're just very cheap on my server, and as you can see, the regional price is definitely very high. But we have a few pets on here. I mean, this one right here, the Iron Starlet, as you can see, there's about 5 of them for 10,000, and regionally, you can sell these for about 30,000. So, in this case, I would probably not buy them personally to flip on my server, because there's 5 of them, and, you know, it's nothing special about my median price, but purchasing one, caging it, sending it over to another server might be a good way to go about that. Just trying to throw out some more ideas. This model, for example, as you can see, there's basically been 1 or 2 on the auction house recently. This one's about 2,000 gold. people have been able to sell this for, 10,000 gold regionally. So maybe buying this, trying to sell it, trying to flip it for, 5 to 8,000, you might be able to do that. Worst comes to worst, you cage it, see how much the cageable version sells for, and try to make some profit. Also, these are pets, so you can send them over to another server if you're trying to do some cross-server flipping as well. But this is kind of just a showcase of this deals page. This is something you want to look out for. And lastly, I will show you a quick way to kind of deal with pets on in-game. So in browsing, what you can do is you can literally type in /battlepets inside of the browse shopping menu, and slowly but surely it will come up with all of the pets available currently on the auction house. And as you can see, it is sorting by market value. So this is a super easy way to find cheap pets that you can either try to flip or, sell across servers. So I do have some more in-depth videos about pet selling, so I can also leave those in the description down below to help you out with that. But, you can just scroll through here. You can pause this whenever. This item looks interesting. As you can see, it's right now 25% of market value. It's about 13,000. And wow, this is the only one posted right now. So besides this one, level 25, which as you can see is insanely expensive compared to this one. But as you can see, market value, so my current market value is about 50,000 gold, and region sale value is anywhere between 20 to 50. So honestly, this seems like a very interesting deal, and honestly, I'm probably going to buy this pet. There's only one, so I'm not dealing with a ton of other competition, and it's very cheap in terms of market value percentage. Of course, you can go back here and look at these pets as well, but you're getting into the range where you're purchasing stuff for 25 gold, trying to sell it for 200 gold. Of course, you can do this, but for me, I'm trying to look for like the bigger stuff, which is why I'm kind of ignoring this. But if you're somebody who's just trying to start, definitely doing a few of these, 1,000, like this one right here. As you can see, you can buy this for about 1,000 gold. It's the cheapest one on here. You can try to sell it back for that 5,000 gold. It's the same exact pet. So you could definitely go, I can buy that one as well. You can definitely go for those cheaper methods if you would like, but right now I'm just kind of trying to highlight the big ones. Right here, we can take a look. As you can see, there's currently 4 on the auction house. Market value is 24,000. Currently, there's 2 posted for about 10 and 13. So in this case, if you do want to try to flip them, you will have to buy both. So it's kind of up to you, but I'm going to take a chance just for this video because I can try to flip one on the server for that 24,000, and then I'm also going to try to ship the other one to another server, so I'm going to be purchasing both. Then, of course, this is just kind of the same type of methods that we're looking at. You can look through here. This one, you have to buy 3 pets, which can be a little bit scary. It also doesn't have a super good sale rate, so I might stay away from this one, especially if you're doing flipping on only one server. Once again, you would have to buy 4 of these. That's a little bit sketchy. You can continue. This one might be a good case. Market value is about 30,000. The other one's posted for 30, so you can try to double your money here if you'd like. And of course, you can wait for all of this to be scanned as well to figure out exactly what you want. But this has been a very long video. The purpose of this video was just to kind of showcase how you can go about flipping. Of course, this can't be an exact step-by-step tutorial because it really depends on your market. It really depends on your server, but hopefully this gives you a little bit more understanding on how to go about this. And then also be sure to leave me any questions if you have. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know if anything was confusing or anything like that. I am here to help. Of course, join the Discord down below if you want some help offline. I'm also streaming, so you can check me out on twitch.tv/penguinrtgt as well if you'd like. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you all, and of course, have a good day.